Hello, hello. How are you? Happy Sunday to all. Don't mind the mic if it sounds weird. The cat is futzing with it. Nice to see you, Anne. I hope you are well. It must be quite late in your part of the world right now. Hey, ECR, how are you? And hello, Deborah. Whereas ECR would say, Deborah. Maybe I don't think I can quite do it. And Shannon is here. Hello. Shannon will be on after me as per normal. So we'll be going for an hour and then wrapping up. And I actually stole a page out of Shannon's book and I pre-cut most of the things I need because the card we're doing tonight has a few pieces that I didn't put in the description. I may do that later. Anyway, hello. I hope you had a happy Easter to you too, Deborah. I hope everybody had a happy Easter if you do anything. What else will I mention? So there's a post up on my channel. This was Also Inspired Day. If you follow CraftyL's series, those are Lennox's whiskers. He is very happy to share this with you too. Anyway, everybody was inspired by me this month. So there's a bunch of videos based on former cards you may or may not have seen here. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check it out. I think the only programming note is I am not live next weekend in this time slot because I have a fun condo meeting of some sort to attend. So that should be, it's good we're having them, but they're always kind of a nightmare because sir, you don't need, not everybody needs to see your face. I don't know. They always go long. But it was intermittently spring here this week, so I think that's a little bit better. It's actually like super dark out right now because it's been intermittently raining all day, but luckily was quite nice for the getting places for Easter period of the program. And that is my cat. This was my craft roulette card, and I'm really liking this ink color, unfortunately, because it was I don't remember if you guys were familiar with Impression Obsession. It was a Wisconsin, I think, company, but they're out of business now. But they made this hybrid ink, which is really kind of nice to work with. Anyway, luckily, one of the local companies here is like selling off their old stock. Oh, sir, for like $2 an ink pad. So that's kind of cool. Squeezies, can we perhaps scooch? Could we scooch you a little bit? No? Are you going to be difficult? Let's see if we can't get you. Maybe you can be on my lap. How about on my lap? Would that be okay? He can be on my lap. He doesn't want to be on my lap, however. So I think he will be. Yeah, he'll be somewhere else. He'll probably be back in 4 seconds. Anyway, we got some cool happy mail. This is a very fun postcard from Elizabeth. And you can't actually see. There's a lot of texture on this, which is really cool. And as noted, we are working on our writing. And I got an invitation to be on her channel doing something. So feel free to reach out. I am almost always available, but the splatter on this is really cool. The gold on this is really gold. And that reminds me, I picked up some metallic ink for splattering that I need to play around with. Anyway, I got some cards in the mail for the Easter holiday. I don't think any of these are handmade other than Elizabeth's, but let's take a look at them. This one comes with a fabulous stamp because it comes from my friend Bruce in Canada. We hope that we have a happy Easter. Very cute. Ooh, and a little sparkle on the bunny. That is super cool. And I guess we can show the stamp. Canada has such cool postage. I mean, we have some cool postage too, but it's like all the postage in Canada is cool. Actually, all over it. Let me see. This is from my mom. So we will see. Oh, and she sent me a Snoopy card because Snoopy is the best thing ever. Happy Easter, happy spring. Oh, I like that. I like Snoopy dancing. And there's some texture on these flowers too, which is nice. And very nice. I like all the color here. This is neat. Neat to do like a rainbow color. Then the last one is from my aunt. I do believe. I believe she had a very happy Easter. She does a lot of church stuff, so I think she was very engaged with that. And we have that thing Pam doesn't like that starts with a G all over our little tulips, but it is a very nice effect. It's the non-shedding type, but very nice. And a nice note from my aunt, which is cool. I love the iridescent glitter. I have one of those iridescent glitter pens, and I never remember to use it. Let me see what I am missing before we get it. Oh, hey, Linda, how are you? Welcome. I hope you weren't getting too wild weather. I saw a lot of south of me was getting a bunch of nonsense. Hey, Blossom, how are you? I don't know if you saw. You probably did, but I'll show you again. I used some of your Stamperia ephemera on this craft roulette card. I thought these buildings would be a better idea. I don't love it. I feel like this would have been cooler if I had stenciled like some trees and had like the squirrel in the trees, and it would be. I like the idea of like woody, like sort of sunlight filtering through the trees. But I feel like I could have just used like a tree stencil or stamp and like then put him on. Anyway, not every card is your best card, so that's probably a good lesson for us all to know. So this stamp on top has nothing to do with what we're doing. Well, that's not true. I may steal sentiments from it. But this stamp, Meadow from Crafty Stamp Co. colored yesterday. So if you're interested, there's a link to their, I don't think there's a link to their stuff, but I think there's, I don't think I put a link to their YouTube. I put a link to their Facebook. But if you look them up on YouTube, you can see this stamp colored. Really did a really interesting card with sort of this Scooter Bunny on a tag, and they use some of their new spring pattern paper, which I don't own, so we're going to be playing with the baking pattern paper some more. But I thought I might raid some sentiments, although the more I thought about it, I think and these are the other spring ones I got. These are I think I want to use this bunny who's kind of passed out in the coffee cup. I think he'll be the one. There are bunnies chilling in coffee cups, but I think given the size of the paper we're working with, I want to do the coffee keeps me hoppy and then color this guy. And those stamp differently. I pulled some paper. This is kind of the color scheme we're going to go with. I know. I did this for my other baking card because then we have a lot of pieces, but I'll walk through them. And I'll basically explain what we're making, and then we can go from there. And start stamping. This I want to stamp a sentiment on. And then we have another piece like this. So what this is ultimately going to be is basically a gatefold with like a pop-up mechanism. So when you open the gatefold, these guys sort of rise up on box mechanism. So that's essentially how the final card is going to look. And then our bunny is going to be an element on the front. I haven't decided if I want to like stick with the squares or maybe do like a circle or something just to mix it up. So we have a bunch of layering pieces that will go on I think I'll use these on the inside and then these guys on the front. And then there's some mechanism pieces that we can talk through and layering pieces, but the rest of this is pretty straightforward. So, but I didn't want to cut it on camera because there are a lot of pieces. But if you like the card when we're done, let me know. I am more than happy to update the description once I figure out what size we do the front. But anywho, oh, sorry, Blossom, I left your comment up. There we go. Hey, John, how are you? Good to see you. I hope your Easter was very happy. And Cordelia, how are you? I hope you had a good Easter as well. And hope everybody was spared crazy weather. So let's do the easy part first, which is, well, maybe not. I have to decide if I want to do the sentiment. I think I'll just do the sentiment in black for my own sanity later. So let's get that done because we probably will do some coloring. Because I want to kind of mirror the pattern paper colors mostly. And I definitely want to do the coffee one. But you could do tea as well. There's a tea sentiment for some reason included as well if you're more of a tea person. I know a couple of my friends are not coffee people. So, but the neat thing is because these are separated, you could put like whatever any sort of word you have. And I think I'm just going to go kind of like that. I don't think this needs to be super complicated. And these are different fonts. So, like, I don't think we need this to be super matchy because it'll be obvious that they're like different stamps anyway. So we could audition some teals. I feel like teal would be kind of a good option here. So we need to kind of find a blue or a teal. I guess since this one has basically the whole gradient, like anything in here would be good. I don't know. Like a deep teal would be okay. Maybe I'll see if I have a deep teal. Because I like deep teal. It is indeed my favorite color. Well, one of them. But let's see. Ooh, that's a neat color. Black. I thought I had an opening of these. Now that one might be a good option. There is also this flame, which is kind of a muted red. Didn't see anything else I obviously liked, but I feel like I have a teal on my desk somewhere. Or at least it might be in my bin next to my desk. I think I had Uptown pulled for something. I'm not sure if the In the Park will be dark enough. Let's see. Let's just watch this quick if I have junk paper somewhere here. That's not really junk paper. Oh, here we go. Here's a scrap. I'm curious. I would like this color if it was. Oh, that might work. That's a springy color. Let's see how that goes. This could be a good idea or a bad idea. We can always redo this, and this part would be pretty easy to redo. Whoa. Oh, this is what happens when you drop another ink pad on top of one of your ink pads. Yeah, I feel like this is not nearly dark enough. Let's do this in black. This is not going to be a good option, unfortunately. I had some Uptown somewhere, which is it's more of a bluer teal, but I think that would be good if I could. I'll just let me see if I can find it once more, and then we'll just swap over to black. Ooh, this one might be good. This Fiesta Blue, which is not muted at all. Yeah. Almost neon, but I think it will actually work here. Since these to me are somewhat almost 50s colors. So let's see. Yeah, this will be dark enough. And we can always go back in. Oh, no, that looks great. I guess we don't have to go back in. I'm going to say, you can always go back in and sort of build up your color if you want to. But it's also nice when it just works too. Let me see what I am missing while I was. Well, Cordelia is saying, hi. Jana, oh, hey, Jana, how are you? I hope you are well. I don't think I saw you come in because, oh, hey, there you are. No, I didn't see you come in because I was screwing around with stamps per usual. And not finding ink colors because every time I don't find ink colors, I'm always like very tempted to go into one of those like organizational methods again and like try to, inventory everything in Airtable until I move it around. If anyone has preferences on the bunnies, let me know. We have like towel bunny, we have shower cap bunny. I like this bunny better. There's also the bunny doing this, which is kind of cute. And this one has little carrots on it. I don't know if, oh, that actually is reading pretty well. But I think this was the one I liked because it has a lot of room to match whatever color we decide to match here. And it's also a simpler color, probably. But feel free to talk amongst yourselves on your preferred bun while I swap out paper. Ooh, this is going to work nicely. Yeah, these look, they're not the same color, but they're pretty close. And it helps if you move your stamp wheel before you try and put paper in. You like Coffee Bunny? Thanks, Gloria. I like Coffee Bunny too, where the Coffee Bunny is waiting for the coffee to kick in. So I think we'll do that one. This piece we're going to probably cut down anyway. So I don't think I'm just going to put it, him, her, they, whatever in the center. And I think with the coffee cup, cutting this square makes sense. And then figuring out what size that square is and then matting it with some of the brown. You could also, like, I'm not making this super fancy, but you could also use, what's the word I'm thinking of? You could use a die to cut this out as well. And I really had good luck with this ink last time, so here's hoping. For those of us who are too lazy to emboss and or heat set things, it worked quite nicely. Although it's weird because there's like only one pink that really causes me issues. The one thing though, let's hit that again because maybe I just need to press down on the eye a little bit. I think the eye just didn't get inked. We can do that again. Because his eye is kind of prominent, so I would like that to be correctly done. There we go. That's pretty good. For her, I guess. I think bunnies are kind of like cats, and they aren't differently colored based on their gender, so you can't really tell without looking in more detail. Here's the one that was wet. There we go. And as you all probably know, like as the stamps get broken in more, they stamp a lot better. Because when they come from the factory, they have some residues on them as part of the manufacturing process. And as those get worn off, they take ink a little bit better. But I I like all of these, like things in mugs stamp sets. So I've got quite a bit of a library of them as a result of that fact. My stamp wheel, after washing off the paper residue, is still very sticky, which makes stuff like this easier. So I think what we can do, I think we'll just cut this square when we're done, and we can figure out what size square it is and make one that is slightly less that size. So I'm going to start with doing the inside of the ears, not that way, but with some kind of pink or other. Maybe I should test my colors. There's an idea. Yeah, this is R30. Oh, and he's got a little carrot thingy. We'll probably do that last. The tail I'll probably just leave fluffy. I don't know what color. Do we want to do like a brown bunny or they're mostly brown bunnies around here, but we can do all sorts of colored bunnies. For the cup, I think we're going to try and stay with a tealy-ish color so that it kind of sticks with this sort of blue color scheme we're playing around with. Cut in a diamond mat. Oh, that's fine. You don't need to be chatty. Oh, I'm using the honeybee. Caitlin Anthony mentioned this, and I was having issues with Memento and pink bleeding, like a lot. And I haven't had as much issue here. The one thing I will say is this is a that other word, solvent-based ink. So it's more likely to stain your stamps if you care. I mostly stamp in black, and I don't care if the stamps are stained as long as they stamp nicely. So, but I will say your mileage may vary on that. I definitely want an orange for the carrot. Let's see if we can't. Let's color in our bunny first, because I think I want him kind of a warm gray of some sort. Whatever this is might be a good warm gray, because I can find it. Warm W5, which I think is kind of dark. I'd like something a little lighter than that. Oh, here's a 3. There we go. Sometimes I can find markers. I mean, not usually. Yeah, the 3 I like. So I'm going to try and do everything but his eyes, because his eyes are stamped with a lot of ink, and I would rather not smear them. Although since he's gray, this is, even if I did mess this up, it would be less of an issue. Although, I don't know, whenever I was watching Meadow Color yesterday, and it just amazes me how much these colors can kind of dry back. Even like bunnies that are a color usually have a white tail, so I'm just going to leave the tail white. And I'm going to go and mostly just do a flat color on him, because I feel like these guys are really whimsical, so I don't really ever feel the need to like do the shading properly. Although watch Crafty Stamp Co.'s channel if you would like to see coloring done well. Differently. I should stop saying well. I mean, no specific technique is inherently better. It's just what you like. But then I usually come back and do a second pass, sort of around the edges, and you can see the lines are staying put, which is fantastic. I do want to change my marker quickly. I do want to give the bunny a little. The bunny has a little heart nose, so I just want him to have a little, or him, her, they, whatever, to have a pink nose. There we go. And I want to not color the inside of the eyes, essentially, because I want to leave them white. Although if you want these to be a little sparklier, you can certainly go in with a glaze pen or something too. And this eye, it doesn't matter. And I'm not gonna try to marker over the like this really dark ink. Let me grab, see like where the actual eye is. I'm not gonna run my marker over there because there's really no point, and you might smear it. And our bunny is mostly together. I'm going to color in a little shade here. I might go over that in whatever sort of blue color we go with. And I would like this little footer is a little bit more defined. So I'm just going to go over that as well. And then see what I'm missing while I'm not paying attention. But you've totally forgotten about making a card. Oh, well, there's plenty of time. Oh, for craft roulette? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Be Creative stuff is great for markers. I'm liking it better than any other black ink I've used for markers. I do like the VersaFine Clair for like wire medium stuff, just because VersaFine Clair stamps a long time, like stamps perfectly. Oh, thanks, Shanna. So now I want a green, just basically for the top of the carrot. So I'm just gonna dot it in because, like, there we go. That's all we need, and we need some kind of orange. Although carrots don't necessarily have to be orange. Are there blue carrots? No. There are purple carrots. So if you wanted it to be a purple carrot, you could do that. But I'm just going to do an orange carrot because I like orange carrots. And this is a very orange. I think this is pumpkin or something. Yeah, it's YR14. It's not quite neon, but since it's high up in the range, it's kind of neon. So I want to find a teal I like. I don't really want a dark teal because I don't know. It seems weird on a springy card. This is a blue-green I've liked before, which is pretty pale. That I think would work well. Yeah, I think a paler one. So let's just go in and do that. This, I think, is slightly greener than the other blues we were working with, but we can look at that. We could go over this. Oh, no, that's almost a... Wow, those two colors are almost a dead match. Don't listen to me. I randomly picked a really good color, so that's good. So now I'm just going to fill in the mug. Mugs are a good thing to practice color on, too, because the lighting on them is fairly straightforward, which I'm not really doing a lot of tonight. But if you want to practice coloring, it's often nice to color on some sort of standard objects. And I would like this to be darker, so I'm just putting on a second layer, basically, of the same color. And the way that the colorants in these markers work, it basically layers, kind of like how watercolor layers. So as you can see, we're getting a more color, even though by just putting on more layers. Because essentially, you're just perceiving the white cardstock through the multiple layers, kind of like the way stained glass works. I'm going to go in here, and no one will probably notice this, but I'm just going to tint the... I'm going to leave a white rim because I kind of like that. But I'm just going to tint the shadow color that we put in with the teal. There we go. Now, because we don't really want our bunny to float in space, our two options are to kind of crop this with the bottom on the bottom like that, which I may do. The other thing you could do is you can just draw in, using a little bit of something like one of these grays, you can just draw in like sort of a shadow to make it look like it's sitting on something. But I think we will do the other option tonight. and just sort of cut this, not exactly on the bottom, but pretty darn close, so that actually, yeah, I think we'll do that. And I stamped this a little bit crooked, so I'm going to see if I can't rectify that when I am trimming this. It doesn't rectify very well if I don't trim the whole thing, but oops. There we go. That's pretty good. I may put in a little bottom there. And then let's see. So if we did 2 inches, we'd chop off his ears. So that's a bad idea. 2.5, I think making this a 2.5 inch square is probably how I want to go. Because that'll keep his ear intact. There we go. And then let's cut off this side because this side's a little mangled already. And see where our 2.5 inches would land us. Oh, that's pretty good. There is, oh, that's not on there, I don't think. Let me just trim the top a little bit because it's a little wonky. There we go. Just to get a fly's eyelash. So this is 2.5, so we just need to, I think this is 2.5. Let me check. This is 2.5. A little shy of 2.5, but it's basically 2.5 by 2.5. Let me just take a little sliver off the side here too, just because this is slight. It was slightly under, so it's probably more like 1 7/8 by 1 7/8. But I think when we're matting this, we can just mat it to whatever that measurement is. 2.5 or probably 2 3/4 would work best here. So I'm going to do that. Hey Pam, how are you? Oh, the other Linda, who I miss, Leche Boutte, as Lala would say. Hey, Paula Rice, how are you? Always good to see you. I didn't get one maybe. Oh, yeah. Well, I hope you feel better, Dawn. Hey, Gloria, nice to see you as well. Nice of everybody to say hello. So many friends here tonight, which is awesome. And I can't even tell you what Shanna's doing because I forgot to look at what her live is about. So I think this is going to go pretty nicely. So this is going to be kind of our front piece. And I do think because we have some white here, I'm going to do that thing I talked about. So I'm going to go with the darker gray just because I don't want it to be the same shade as the bunny. But all you really have to do is a little bit like that. And it doesn't even have to. It doesn't even have to be too much. It just to look like it's sitting on something. And the shadow on this side is a little. And if you are familiar with sort of the flick stroke of markers, like where you do that, where where you pull up on the tail end, that works really well for these shadow things too. And I think I'll just get that to the end and then just do a little bit of that. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. His shadows in real life aren't perfect, but then it looks like he's kind of sitting on something. Like it looks like the mug is casting a shadow and we're looking towards a table that's kind of out of view, essentially. Like from a perspective standpoint, right? Like it looks like you'd have perspective lines going sort of that way, and that we'd be looking at a tabletop that we didn't bother to draw in. You can also, if you want, we could bring in a little bit of like a very blue. Like, oh boy, for example, if I have it on my desk, we could put in some sky. But I might not because this is going to be pretty patterny. So maybe I will just leave it as white space for now. So now all we have to do is glue a bajillion pieces together, which will be pretty straightforward. I tend to like to do all my coloring first. See what I am missing. I had an automatic cat feeder, actually, but the cats figured out how the automatic cat feeder worked, so then it didn't work as well anymore because Lennox figured out that. So Lennox is about 10 pounds. So he figured out all he really had to do was like body slam the automatic cat feeder and it would eventually knock over. So, you know, you'd come back and there'd be. Well, there's a cat fuzz on here. The automatic feeder would be knocked over, and Lennox would be still wanting you to feed him. So, you know. But I know a lot of people they work really well for. And I'm going to do the easy, more squarish pieces, I think, with just with double stick tape. But the actual pop-up mechanisms I'm going to do with wet glue because I like the ability to have a little more fudge time because I get a little paranoid that they will glue down and then issues will ensue. That's a little too high. There we go. Now, let's go over to the side. And really, once the mechanisms are in, actually, let me put a little wet glue under this edge. You're not really going to have a lot of use of this area. So, like, if you really want to write a longer message, I would recommend probably either putting a white piece on the back, which it would be a lot easier to write with if the card wasn't together. Or you could also, the other thing you could do is you could make a little pocket and stick a note in the back, or you could just throw a note in the envelope. Let me just decide. These are not mirrored. I did do, these are actually cut a little shorter too, because I didn't want like a little fractional circle. It looked weird in my brain. So, I did not, I did a little extra trimming. So these two layers between the front and the insides aren't going to mat quite identically. But I do want the front, I think, to look like the pattern paper is in its sort of normal. There we go. Normal orientation. These are 5 1/4 by 1 7/8, and the flaps here are. I mean, you probably these are 1 7/8. This is a standard A2. And I'm putting on all the layering pieces first, just because it's easier to do now before there's stuff in the way. So you can. Oh, are you on? Do you know how to do the unwarping thing, Pam? I have never done it. Although I saw somebody's tutorial on it and it looked. How can I put it? As long as you don't spill a bunch of boiling water on yourself, it looked fairly straightforward. So this is going to be our front, and what we're ultimately going to do is stick our bunny out like that. So this is going to be the front. He'll be stuck only to one side, or her, and then you'll have your inside, which we're going to work on now. Now these are the same in that these were cut from the same piece, but they're not mirrored, and they'll be somewhat obstructed as well, so probably doesn't matter a ton. As long as the rolling pins are going in the same way on both pieces. If you have 12 by 12, you can actually cut all 4 of these from like a 7-inch wide piece. But I was using 6 by 6, obviously. which is also, I think, it's sort of interesting. 6x6 has really become the default. Ooh. Oh dear. This is why we have Poke Tools. So Gloria Wolf can save us all from ourselves. Anyway, there we go. And then we'll do the last one, and then we get to play with the fun stuff. Oh, do we have cute stray kitties? Oh, Blossom's caring for kitties. Thank you, Blossom. I appreciate when people care for the outdoor kitties. And once you have this middle piece down, you can kind of use these to sort of line it up. Although the straight card panel police isn't going to come after you. So if you didn't want to do any like fancy stuff, this would be a good point to stop, and you could just have a really nice gatefold, because we could just glue this on. But we're going to do more fancy things. But this would actually be a really cool card just by itself. That said, the next thing I'm going to do is grab the glue and glue these guys onto little panels. And then we're going to do the pop-up piece. And you're doing quite nicely on time, because even though it doesn't seem like it, a lot of this is mostly done. But I was inspired to do something interactive after seeing Lala's stream technically last night, although Easter morning in the Philippines, making a really cool pop-up mechanism that I think I've talked about in every chat I've been in today, which, you know. And this paper was part of a kit, so this actual pattern paper isn't available, but you'll probably find something you'd like. I'm really excited about some. There's some pattern paper I want that's very springy. That's coming out, and I think on the 30th. Anyway, so these are going to work exactly like the box cards that we played around with. And I forget the score. I'll put the actual measurements in the description once this turns into a video. But basically, this side you want to glue to the side piece of the card, and then kind of like most of everything, you want to fold it flat and put glue here to make sure your box is square and opens the way you want. I think I am correct about that. So you glue this piece in, and then then you want to basically, when this closes, you want to make sure that that piece gets stuck down so that it opens like this. Sorry, that was off camera. And then we're going to stick one of these guys on top. We can determine what we want where, but then this guy is going to, so these guys are going to pop up basically. So let's do that. You have some fudge room with these, because obviously you could mount it like here or like that or like that. But I liked the original. I liked had the one in this corner and one in that corner. So I think I will stay with that. I don't want to obstruct the score line, but I also want to make sure that we have pretty full coverage. So now that that's like that, I will just burnish it a bit. That looks slightly crooked. I'm going to try and match the score line here just for my own later sanity, because these have been pretty reinforced. Then all we need to do is put glue on that other bottom glue tab, and then stick the whole thing down, and we should be good. I always try to put together my pop-ups in the closed position, but also you want to be, if you're using white glue particularly, you want to be careful that you don't glue your whole card together. So generally I'll like hold it down till it grabs and then make sure that it doesn't look crazy. And I think that one worked out pretty well. One advantage to using, well, this is all uncoated cardstock, but the uncoated cardstock on the white and the brown is going to grab more quickly. But basically what we're going to do is then ultimately have this guy here, and then we're going to do the same thing here, and you're going to have sort of a fun little inside. And if you wanted to, you in these blank areas, you could probably come back in with ephemera or whatever you like, but I am going to work on second mechanism and just make sure the score lines are burnished nicely so that it's easier to put this together. Yeah, I thought it was cool, Deborah. It didn't actually win our Crops best card, which I thought was unfortunate, but actually there were 3 that I thought were really good. But a Spellbinders inspired card won, which was also a very cool card. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to flip it and make sure that I'm on the score line. I basically just don't want to obstruct the score line, or the pop-up won't really pop up correctly. Then we're going to do the same thing, only on the other side, and fold this down. When this is folded down, it will not obstruct this other one, but basically that's how we want that to go. And we do have some fudge here in that even if the pop-up itself was not level, like you're not really going to see a lot of it once the card is together. So we're just going to do the same thing here, just until it grabs. And then those are our 2. And then what we can do is make sure that the whole thing will collapse. I think this would send for 1 stamp. It doesn't have as much paper as it looks like it does once it's together, but this is basically how the box goes. And then when you're displaying it, of course, you can just open it like this and you'll see your front pieces. Then we just need to, and when you're putting these pieces in, because they're going to fold this way, you don't really have to worry about obstructing the score line here. You just want to make sure that the mechanisms are basically covered. So I usually sort of shoot for the middle. But of course, on your card, you can do whatever you want. And you can mess, depending on what size card you make, you can mess around with some of the proportions a bit. And, you could do more than 2 of these if you're working on something larger than an A2, if you're one of those A7 peeps, like Bitty Penny and others. And if you wanted to, rather than gluing this down, which isn't really going to keep it closed, you could certainly put on a belly band as well. So there are a bunch of ways you can customize this. And the original card that I saw this on had nothing to do with bunnies, so, And again, I'm going to just center it. You just want to make ideally, like if the space between the bottom of the card and the 2 panels can be about the same, that would be cool. So my panel seemed a little low, so I will push that back. Then we can close these and make sure all of our glue is together. And that is 99% of the card. You can see, like, you do have these spaces you can do stuff with, but with all the pattern paper, I kind of like them as just white space. But my idea here was, like, these kind of look like coffee and tea canisters from, like, if you had, like, a retro kitchen. So it kind of made sense in my head that this was all sort of like a kitchen-themed card. How rabbits go with kitchen-themed cards, who knows? But, oh, thanks, Dawn. I do think it would be fun. It's not quite the season yet, but I think that, like, doing a Halloween card with like this would be cool. We could do, if you have friends who really like spiders, there's those whimsy spiders you could put. You could even put, you could put hide little things. Hello. Oh, Kaiser is here being. I think you heard the word Halloween and showed up. Anyway, the last piece is a lot easier if you have pattern paper like this that is pretty much has sort of horizontal and verticals. Oops. Except if you do that. I do want to come back in and just do a little extra marketing on here. Just to kind of balance the shadow out a little bit. There we go. Okay. I'll have to weigh this later once this fully dries. But basically, that is our rabbit-themed card. You could certainly use this as Easter. Not in this spring. In the Vespa Bunny set, you do get both Happy Easter and Happy Spring. Those also would fit on here. But I just used all one stamp set. And that is our card. I guess, so this is kind of how it looks if it was open, right? Like you can have it as open as you would like, depending on how much of the mechanism you want to see. But you could definitely see the whole thing here. But like you could come in and do a little, if you had a bunch of coffee ephemera, you could definitely do a little collage thing. But I do also kind of like that there's a little white space so that it's not like as busy. Me too. I think it was ECR who worked with one of they make a gingerbread one I don't have with gingerbreads hanging out in mugs. But so this is sort of what you would see if it was displayed like this. And what else should I mention? The other thing you could do is, so if you had some thin, like if you had heavy duty acetate, you can also glue strips underneath these panels and you could like hang things off if you wanted to have floaty stuff. I think the sort of clean and simple version of this card is really cool, but you could definitely embellish it a lot. So anyway, that is, I think, our card for tonight. And I just dropped something on the floor. Oh dear. It was an ink pad, but I didn't get maimed by the ink. This is why I have a very dark rug underneath my craft area. So if ink lands on it, it's perfectly fine. Oh, thanks, Blossom. I like this design too. I mean, I just like this because it's like this is sort of spring and baking and Eastery. Actually, it's not really Eastery in any way other than the bunnies on it. But yeah, so I can think of a bunch of other cards you could do. It would be fun to do a summer card with like sea creatures and stuff. Because like the sea creature, if you made like a oceany background somehow, you could like sort of float your sea creatures and have like a whole thing going on. Anyway, I'm already thinking of things. Oh, no worries. If I remember, I'll put all the measurements in the description so that this is a little less crazy because I didn't go through all the like bizarreness of all the score lines and measurements because I don't know. Anytime anyone does that on, hello, what are you doing? What are you futzing with? My black cat is futzing with things. Anytime someone just reads off the measurements, it's always, what are you doing, sir? Don't you futz? He likes to get into the trash and like just chew on paper. Like he doesn't eat it, but he really likes the little strips of paper. Yeah. He's after something he wants to chew on. Oh, probably this. Like these little pieces of paper, he'll just like chew on and randomly do whatever with. I don't know. Cats are odd. But anyway, let me wrap up the stream. In 3 minutes, Shannon will be live, unless she already is, but you should get automatically redirected. It was great to see all you guys. I will not see you next weekend, but may see you in other videos. And then I'll be back the weekend after that. So anyway, great to see you. Hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your April if I don't see you before we are live on Sunday again. Have a good night.